The dust has settled from your proposal, and now it's actually time to get down to business. Time to pick a date and get down to planning. This is your favorite part, right?
Are you going to start singing?
No. It felt like I was leading up to it, though, right?
Did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to sing.
You're not? Okay.
But I could.
You could.
Yeah.
You could just like jump in there.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like we should come up with a theme song or something.
Okay. Are you going to sing it?
No. I'm just going to go chicka chicka.
Is that your new thing?
Yes.
I feel like it's been a few episodes since you talked about your other things.
Cake.
Alabama football and cake.
I'm still sour about Alabama football. We're going to have to just wait until next season.
All right. We just won't talk about it again.
Nope. Things didn't fall our way, but that's okay.
It's over.
Well, it's over. We'll keep moving on.
Will you?
Yeah, we will.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
People need to support the team and not complain as much. Things don't always go your way.
This is your big pep talk.
This is my big pep talk. There's a lot of complaints going on for the kicker right now, and it's really sad. Actually, these are college kids.
Yeah,
they're college kids.
Yeah, too much
People
pressure.
forget that.
Too much
They're
pressure.
like 18 to 22. Like, come on. Jeez.
As my brother's girlfriend just said, she would have played college sports if it wasn't for all the pressure.
Right. Exactly.
It's just too much pressure on these poor kids.
It is. It's too much pressure.
Yeah.
Much like wedding planning.
Yes. Perfect.
Yes.
Picking the perfect wedding date.
Yes, it can be hard. And actually, it's very, very hard because there's a lot of factors that are in play here.
I know, like picking the date makes it so official.
Yeah,
you
it
picked
does.
Your venue.
It does.
It's
but
like venue and date.
Yeah, someone is going to give you a hard time about the date, though.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
It doesn't matter what it is.
You're trying to coordinate. Someone's going to give you a hard time about picking a date for, a potluck, much less your wedding. Like,
yeah, and you're trying to coordinate, like,
do people still do
150-ish.
potlucks?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Do they?
I don't know why that popped in my head. That's weird.
You want to do a potluck?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't even know what it is.
Me either.
I mean.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right. If you do a potluck, let us know.
Yeah. You hit us up. potluck@bustld.com. We'd love to know.
Probably going to get a bounce back on that one.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'll set it up. I'm curious. If somebody emails me at potluck@bustld.com, I will set it up.
And then you'll know.
And then I'll know who's listening and who's inviting me to potlucks.
Are you going to sing at this potluck?
No, unless
right.
you want me to.
It costs extra.
It does cost
for
extra.
him to sing at your potluck.
That's right. I'll bring the guacamole, though.
Ooh.
You're going to want that guacamole.
Yeah, you're going to want that guacamole.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's really good.
Okay, so back to picking a date.
So starting first with the date, we want first, you got to start to narrow it down. So I think the first thing is
the
going to be
date or the potluck?
the date and the potluck.
All right.
Both. Two separate things. Although, no, two separate things.
Two separate things.
Yeah, we're not going to do a potluck wedding. I think that'd be weird. It'd be less expensive, though, because then everybody would be bringing their own food. It'd be.
So you do know what a potluck is?
I'm pretending not to, because now I'm just embarrassed. Okay? Jeez, way to call me out. Supposed to be a team here. Jeez.
So wedding dates.
Anyways, wedding dates. Wedding dates. First, you want to start with your season because obviously, that cuts it down in terms of like what your options are pretty quick.
Cuts it down in fourths.
It cuts it down into fourths.
Yeah.
Instead of having to pick between 366 days next year because it's leap year.
That's true.
Yeah. So firstly, you're going to want to start with your wedding season. So why don't you talk a little about what those are?
So the most popular wedding seasons are spring, which now is like kind of like March to June. I feel like technically spring's like April to June, but now like spring season's starting to like creep into March because those dates are getting more popular.
Yeah.
And then fall season, which actually is more popular in Charlotte.
I was going to say, I thought fall was more popular.
Yeah. Here. Anyways.
Yeah.
Just because it's so beautiful here that time of the year. And so fall is really like, it's like late August, but really September to like November.
Yeah.
I would say like before Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving, it's like winter.
Mm-hmm.
So then, you have your less popular, I would say summer is probably like somewhere in between. So that's like, June to end of June to end of August. And then winter's.
It's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the South, that's
in the South. Yeah.
Well, I mean, everywhere really, but
that's true.
Whew, an August wedding in Charlotte is.
Yeah.
It's hot.
It is.
Yeah. Outdoor wedding in August is real hot.
Yep.
And then your winter season. But I mean, spring and fall are probably the most popular choices.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the best season? Sounds subjective.
It is subjective. I mean, it depends on what you're looking for. Do you want to be indoors or outdoors? If you want to be outdoors and you're getting married in North Carolina in August, it's going to be hot.
Don't.
It's going to be hot. There are going to be maybe some complaints. So, that makes a difference.
Go indoors.
Yeah.
In the summer.
Yeah. If you want to get married in the winter, but maybe you have people traveling from Minnesota where it's like snowy throughout the winter,
Right.
they might not be able to make it because
And
of
summer. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Maybe.
maybe they may not be able to make it because of like a snowstorm or something, so like there's different things like that you have to think about that play into the date that you pick. So think
Okay.
about like your guests and what you're envisioning for wedding day.
Okay. How do you decide what's best for you?
As far as the season goes, I mean, you have to think about like the colors you like. So like certain colors work better in different seasons. I'm not saying there's like a rule around it, but burgundy, for example, works a little better. It's a little more of a fall color than it is like,
Or winter.
than it is like a spring color.
Right.
You can do it, but it's just tends to be a little more like fall winterish. The flowers you like. So certain flowers are in season.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a specific flower that's out of season, that's going to be very pricey.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably possible, but it's going to be very pricey because it's going to have to come from somewhere else.
Right.
So like if you're wanting to use local flowers, make sure that you think about that. How much time you want to plan. So I know we talked about that a couple episodes ago in the proposal episode. But if you get engaged in October and you want to have, an April wedding, are you going to plan in,
That's quick.
5 months? Or are you looking at 17 months?
Yeah.
So those are things to think about, like when you want to get married and how long you want your engagement to be. Like we knew we didn't want a year engagement.
Right.
Or anything more than a year. We wanted to be under a year.
Right.
That was just worked well for us. If you have like a lot going on, you might want a longer engagement. So it just kind of depends. And then also the availability of your venue that you want is going to play a role in the season. Spring, fall dates tend to go quickly. So especially if you're looking at a shorter engagement, your ideal date might not be available.
Right. Okay. Perks of out of season. So it's July or it's January. What are some of the perks of, going out of season?
Well, I think you'll have more availability to start. Like if you're looking at July weekends, you might have all the availability, on a Saturday. Whereas like if you're looking at October, they could have all the Saturdays booked. And then maybe you're looking at a Friday or Sunday wedding if you really want October. So I think that that's a huge perk of being out of season. Sometimes you get, and not just venues, like your other vendors too. So they might be booked up. Maybe the photographer or the planner you want is booked up, the entire month of October, but they have tons of availability in January. So you're just going to have more availability of vendors overall if you pick an off-season date. A lot of times there's discounts also.
Right.
It depends, but a lot of, venues will offer off-season booking dates. So that's something that can make a big difference on your budget. And then maybe you want to have like a Christmas themed wedding. So, that's something to think about too. If you have like a specific vision in mind, or maybe all of your family is going to be in town for Thanksgiving. So it's just like easy to have Thanksgiving and then roll right into the wedding. So those are different kind of perks of being out of season.
Okay. And then as far as, we've got it narrowed down to our season now.
Okay.
All right. So there's only so many days in that time period. Does it have to be Saturday?
No, it doesn't. It's the most popular option.
Sure.
It's the most convenient in the sense of like people aren't working that day or the next day. So they don't have to take as much time off work.
Right.
So I would say like Saturdays the most common, then Fridays take less time off work, and then Sundays. Just because Sundays get a little bit harder. People are usually leaving Monday morning, so maybe they're not wanting to party quite as hard. But yeah, and then weekdays. Weekdays are becoming seemingly more popular also.
Yeah.
Thursdays and even Wednesdays for weddings. And I mean, perks of that is that you're going to probably have a less expensive, especially on like a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Cheaper rentals.
It's just it's
popularity.
Yeah.
Right.
It just goes back to what you said earlier though. It's like, how can your guests take off time in the middle of the week and things like that? That's where it gets messy.
Yeah. If you have a lot of people traveling or something.
Right. Exactly. So what are the pros and cons of another day? We kind of hit a little bit of that, really.
We did. Cost.
Yeah.
Vendor availability is the same. Like your vendors are probably going to be more open on availability on a Wednesday in October than a Saturday in October.
Yep.
So you have more flexibility there. It's also like Friday weddings can be really nice if your guests can get off, because you can make like a whole weekend out of it. You can have the wedding on Friday and then Saturday you guys can all get together and hang out at a brewery or, something like that. And then you still have Sunday to like hang out and before people leave. So that can be like a really nice pro of like an off non-Saturday wedding day.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest con is what you said, having guest availability. So, people being able to take time off, a decent amount of time off work. Because if it's even a Saturday wedding, people might, if they're traveling, have to take Friday.
True.
But if you're looking at a Friday wedding, then they're probably going to have to take Thursday and Friday. Yep. So, that's a big con. It just depends on how many people are traveling. If you have an all local wedding, if you have a Friday wedding and it's an all local wedding, people may still have to take off work, so things like that to think about.
So I guess ultimately, how do you decide?
I think it just depends on like how many, your closest circle. I would talk to them first. The people that like, without those people, your wedding day, like literally you can't imagine it happening. So, your closest friends and family, I would check with them. Then I would ask them, like, if we do choose a Friday, will you be there? Can you make it happen? Will you be there Thursday for the rehearsal or the rehearsal dinner? Will you stay the whole weekend? Like get a pulse from them. And then, any other people that you can't imagine your day happening without, I would find out from them how they feel about this off non-Saturday, but I mean, even if you have a Saturday wedding, you still want to check with that closest group and be like, hey, I'm thinking, November 17th, does that work for you? Yeah. Because if you can't imagine your wedding happening without these people, you need to at least make sure those people are going to be there. So like bridal party, parents, grandparents, closest friends and family.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And then kind of going along those lines of consideration. So, should it be a specific date that, like a meaningful date, if you will?
I mean, that's super sweet when it is. Your anniversary date or parents or something like that. I've heard, it's kind of cool if like your parents and your anniversary could both end up, especially if it was a Saturday. Yeah. It's kind of crazy to think about.
That is crazy.
That it would like fall on the same day or something. Yeah. Just know that if you have a very specific date in mind, you are going to limit yourself
on your vendors,
on your vendors, especially your venue, because you're asking them, do you have this one date available? And if they don't, that venue's out. So you can't be quite as picky if you have like this one specific date in mind for your venue. Yeah. Yeah. Which I think the venue is the biggest one.
Right. Because you can't.
The venue's the venue.
Yeah, the venue's the venue. Exactly. What should we be thinking about as it relates to the date?
If it's a holiday weekend. So I think that's the biggest thing. Holiday weekends can be good because you have a longer weekend. People don't have to take as much time off work. But people might already have plans. Like maybe, if you pick July 4th weekend, maybe your best friend always goes to the beach with her family. Is she going to give that up to come to your wedding? Right. I don't know. You have to talk about that. So that's something to think about. Also, like flights and hotels and things like that might be more expensive in your city on a holiday weekend. You also have to think about like if you're planning to take a honeymoon. So like if you have a holiday weekend and you have Monday off, then you only have to take, maybe 4 days of PTO. So maybe that would actually work better for you. Yeah. Or maybe it's the end of a quarter and you're a salesperson and you can't take your honeymoon then, so you're going to have to wait, or you're in school. So like those kinds of things will play a role in how you pick that date.
Okay. There's a lot in play here.
I know, so many things.
Yeah. So what about other commitments?
So again, I think it goes back to asking your closest friends and family what they have going on. I know like when we were picking our wedding date, my little brother was playing football and he couldn't like miss it. So like that was like a big factor in which weekends we could pick. Right. Think about like work commitments that you have. Do you have to be there for a big conference, or you can't take time off at the end of the month, or, how does this work? So that will impact the date that you choose. Yeah. And then other things that you already have planned for the year, other weddings that you have going on.
Right.
It feels like when you're getting engaged, everyone else around you is also, getting married. So when are their wedding weekends? If your best friend's getting married the weekend before you have to think like they're probably going to be on their honeymoon when your wedding happens.
Right.
So like, if they can't be there, be a part of your bridal party, how's that going to work out for you? So it's just, you kind of have to weigh all the different options and the pros and the cons of like which dates you pick.
Right.
You can't make everyone happy, like you said in the beginning.
No, you really can't. No, you can't.
But you want to make sure that your like core group, you can include as many of them as possible, because you would probably be sad if like your parents couldn't come.
Yeah.
Or like your brother or something,
Yeah.
like you don't want it to be a date that won't work for like those close people.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
other people, you want to do the best you can. Can't make everybody happy. And not
Right.
everyone's going to be able to come to your wedding, no matter
Right.
what. No matter what date you pick, somebody won't be able to make it for some reason.
Yep.
So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. So I guess as far as like next steps, as always, what would you recommend to our couples as they're kind of going through the process of picking their wedding date?
I would look at the calendar and narrow down a season. I think a season's a great place to start. It kind of narrows you into 3 months. If you don't have a specific date in mind, then you can kind of have some flexibility on those venues. I would look at venues, find out what dates they have available, and then, take that list of dates before you even go and look at those venues, and just find out if any of those dates are non-negotiable, especially if a venue only has like one date available.
Right.
And then once you see the venue, then you can start locking in that date. But, kind of touch base with those key people before you lock in a date and find out, your best friend can't come to your wedding.